Welcome back, everyone, to episode 24 of the Tricks and Traps Speedrun. So I'm coming into today, rated 1496, on the verge of breaking 1500. So let's hop into the first game. Okay, first opponent. Go for e4. And opponent playing a king's pawn. Ooh, opponent's playing the Latvian Gambit. So I'm going to take on e5. Main line is queen to f6. But we see knight f6. Okay. This is already new territory for me. Oh, what to do? I mean, bishop c4 looks appealing. Because if takes and then I fork, queen e7. I don't want to walk into like any of these Latvian Gambit tricks. I also have bishop f7 there. Yeah, bishop c4 should be good. Maybe there's queen e7. Pawn d5, okay. But I'll just take on d5. Queen e7, I have d4, so knight will be supported. And I think, again, I'll just play d4. White is up 2 pawns. And yeah, sometimes it just makes sense to grab material and not give it back. My d7 does pressure e5. So I have rook e1. There's bishop f4. I'm also considering knight c6. The idea takes, opens the diagonal. But I don't think that's necessary. I'll start with rook e1. I'm not sure if I want to play f4 or bishop f4. But rook e1's more flexible. E-file is only open file in the position. So that goes for knight e4. And that does obstruct the rook, so the knight is now not as stable on e5. Black is threatening probably to take. But f3 looks very logical here. Just to attack the knight. Oh, interesting. So if I take back, there's bishop c5. But then bishop e3, I should be okay. I don't think this is too harmful. Yeah, bishop e3. If I had to play king h1, then it would be pretty bad. But not blundering any queen. Not walking into a windmill. The knight is still attacked. The center pawns remain. Yeah, I think this is a Latvian Gambit gone bad for black. Now I do have d6 check. But I don't think that's necessary. That actually just allows black to block the check and develop. So h4 comes to mind. Knight c3. I don't really want to play f4 allowing knight e4. I'm just going to start by developing. Try and complete development. Probably queen d4 soon and bring the rook in. Yeah, queen d4 looks pretty good. Full center control. Okay, f4, I'll just move back. Black could develop the bishop. There is also a move knight e6. My queen's not defended, the d-pawn's pinned, but if knight e6, I just move back. Yeah, the center is so well defended, it's going to be hard for black to do much here. There is a move bishop h3, hoping I take the bishop and blunder my queen. But the thing about bishop h3, it doesn't really have a threat. You can just ignore it. So queen e8, okay. It makes some sense, looking to transfer the queen to the king side. What to do? Bishop d3, perhaps? Looking for other options. There's pawn e6. Pawn e6 actually looks nice. Now that there's no more pin, and I'm completely blocking the bishop from developing. Now I do have to watch out for this. So safety first, king h1. A nice attempt from black. Maybe this would work against certain players around this rating, but yeah, sometimes when you're in the lead or you're up a lot of material, you just want to first focus on what the opponent wants to do, how things can go wrong. Probably looking to play bishop d3 next, especially now that the pawns are blocking my bishop. Black plays rook e8. Okay, this looks like a free pawn. So now I'm up 3 pawns. I still have all 8 pawns, so can I win the game without losing a pawn? This is maybe the new challenge. Ready to take another pawn. And the bishop still can't develop. Like, all these squares are covered. And now with black not having the c7 pawn, the d pawn is passed. I probably want to play rook de1 and then start pushing. Like d6, d7 would be nice. Okay, queen f6. Always got to watch out for the sacrifices. They're not too dangerous. I mean, there's rook g2. Anything else black wants to do here? Yeah, let's just improve the last undeveloped piece. I'm choosing rook e1 to basically over-defend e6 pawn. So once I play the e6, the pawn is supported. Although there is, what, 4 attackers, so maybe I would have to over-defend it once more. Okay, black sacks a knight for 2 pawns. So unfortunately for me, I will not be winning this game without having lost a pawn. But the win does seem closer now with the open g-file. Threatening mate in 1. Yeah, we might see rook g8 or queen f6, maybe pawn g6. If black defends, probably ready to play rook f1. Okay, in this case, no mercy. Nice game, 23 moves. Hopefully a nice example of how to deal with some maybe slightly reckless opening from black. Yeah, usually in the Latvian, black should play queen f6. And then there's a nice recommendation from Chess Mood against the Latvian. They recommend d4, d6. This is a main line. And then there's a move here, knight d3. And the idea is after takes knight f4, and this is supposed to be very, very nice for white. Knight f4 prevents d5, also prevents queen g6. And white scores well. Engine says +1, which is usually a good sign. So anyway, my opponent didn't go into that, and I was able to maintain the material advantage. Although here, the engine says black could have taken on e5 and been okay, really. What if I take? Wow, so there was maybe some potential compensation. White would have to play g3. Bishop takes g3. If I take back, then there's probably at least perpetual. The engine says white's slightly better after rook e2, but black probably has close to full compensation. So that could have been interesting. Yeah, after bishop c5, then life was very good. So that puts me over 1500, up to 1504. Let's keep it going. Okay, next opponent, white again, play pawn e4. We have another king's pawn. This time, a more standard opening. Let's play bishop c4. I have been seeing a lot of requests for the Evans Gambit, which unfortunately I can't play against h6. Evans Gambit is bishop c5, b4. Against h6, I'll just play this. Take over the center. Sometimes I like to play c3. I think here I'll just take. there's not really so much reason to gambit, given that, yeah, I'm just taking over the center, nice lead in development. So nothing too crazy. Castle quickly. And pawn c5, so that does attack my queen. At the same time, it weakens some things in black's position. I'll put the queen on d3. Maybe look to slide over eventually. Bishop e6. Do I want to trade bishops? Actually, there's takes in e5, setting up queen g6. That looks really fun. And black might be suffering with a king stuck in the center. I don't think there's any way to both save the knight and stop queen g6. So I've sacked a pawn. But yeah, I should have full compensation. Bishop e3 is very natural. Developing and attacking. But still a question how to continue from here. Black is probably ready to play queen e8. I don't want to trade queens. And there's pawn f4, which is definitely one candidate move. Rook d1 comes to mind. Like rook d1, queen e8, and then queen g3, targeting the e5 pawn. Yeah, I think I'll go for that. Looks pretty straightforward. I'm not seeing how black can easily defend the pawn. Okay, by pushing it, and I guess that's one option. But now I have queen c7 check. Almost mating. I mean, there's knight d7. Can take on e4 now. So now I'm no longer down material. And the attack is becoming stronger, I would think. Queen d6. Yeah, queen d6. Because there's king d8. I can also take on a7. Choices. Might as well take on a7 first. Maintaining the pin. In situations like this where the knight's pinned and the king and queen are tied down defending the knight, it usually leads to just paralysis for black. So now I just need more attackers. Like I could play rook d2 and rook ft1. I could consider sacking, but there's really no need. There's also knight d6, I'm just realizing. Yeah, knight d6 is probably lights out for black. But do I want to take the rook? Might as well. Now I'll play rook d2. Create the battery. I guess black could try like king e8, rook h7. That's a decent attempt. So now if I make the battery, king e8. So I am considering pawn f4. Yeah, let's go for f4. I think it's actually more valuable opening another file if black allows. So king f6, walking into a double check. I still can't win the knight. I could take on f6. Feels like I should have some tactic with both the rooks aimed at the minor pieces. But if I take on f8, then knight takes. Okay, I'm just going to take another pawn. Might as well. If we trade, then things will simplify a bit. And I do want to bring my queen back, so I'll play queen a3. Look to swing back to the king side. Okay, rook g7. Let's give a check. And I could take the pawn with check. Looking at rook d3 looks nice. Threatening mate in 1. The king is already cut off on the f and h files. Yeah, this is mate in 2. Knight g4 is the only legal move. Okay. Felt like a pretty smooth game. Just followed opening principles. I held off on gambiting. Although I held off on gambiting until e5, but I think this is just a very powerful pawn sacrifice. Engine likes it for white. Wasn't completely winning, but yeah, it just led to a very pleasant position. And then, yeah, black kind of cracked under the pressure. Best move would have been king f7, allowing me to take back, and then, yeah, white's still doing well. So that brings me to 15-12. Let's keep it going. Okay, next opponent, playing mute 007. Well, we have a game here. We do. Okay, d4. Let's play knight f6. If I get the chance, I'll play a Budapest. On knight c3, this is a sign of a Jobava London maybe incoming. I'll play d5. And we do see bishop f4. So the most aggressive line I like to play against Jobava London is pawn c5. Somewhat of a reverse Queen's Gambit. Trying to trade the center pawn for a less center pawn. And I'm not scared of knight b5 immediately. There's queen a5 check. That would basically force the knight back to c3. Okay, so pawn e3. And I'm just going to play my main preparation, which is pawn takes pawn, and then bishop to g4. Assuming white takes back with the pawn. And this is a line I discovered a few years ago. I think I actually discovered it while preparing for one of my matches against Gotham Chess, who did go through a Jobava London phase. And it's a slightly unusual idea to move to g4 and then back to d7. But f3 is sometimes hampering white's development. Now white can't play knight f3, especially after bishop e2. This knight is not going to be developing towards the center, at least next move. So let's develop my own knight. Now, usually when you play against Jobava London, you always got to be aware of this idea. In this case, rook c8, and yeah, there's no knight c7. White can't really make a threat here. a6 is on tap. And actually, one of my main ideas is to play a6 and queen b6 to pressure both pawns, which I can probably do. Though after c4, let's consider some options. E5 comes to mind just to create some chaos, allow for bishop b4 check. I'm thinking a6 might help white in some regard, just centralize the knight again. But it's also a candidate move. I don't think I want to take. Well, maybe I could consider taking. There's just d5 ideas. Yeah, I think e5 is too crazy. Like white takes, and then there's some knight d6 ideas. So, yeah, what to do? This move comes to mind too. But that might also be a bit too extreme. a6, knight c3, queen b6. Take. Okay, there's some funny lines. I'm going to start with a6. And even though maybe I'm helping white improve the knight back to c3, I'm sensing that black can get some initiative. And initiative usually refers to the concept of making continual threats. So a6 was a threat, and now queen b6 is another threat. Rather than defending d5, I'm counterattacking d4 and b2. And if I can take on b2, then I'm attacking the knight. But this could become complicated, especially if white takes on d5. Like one calculation is pawn takes d5, a3. I think white's trying to set up like takes in knight a4, but that's not trapping the queen because I can take on d4. So I think a3 is a free gift. Hopefully I'm not wrong about this. Always got to be careful taking such pawns. It is a common tactical pattern to go for knight a4. Like, if white had a pawn on e3, then my queen would be trapped. But that's not the case here. I just won 2 pawns, keeping initiative, hitting the bishop, offering the queen trade, now attacking the knight and threatening the fork. There's knight b6, but then we probably trade, and I also probably win more material. Yeah, the king has to move. I'll take the rook. And if my rook's taken, I can take back. Black will be up a knight. And there's cases where the knight could get trapped in the corner, but in this case, both c2 and b3 are available. Maybe white should have tried bishop d1 there. Let's play knight b3. Maybe I could have taken first too. But this knight's not causing me too much harm. Might as well play h6. Make it move back. And at this point, I just want to simplify. Okay, some counterattack. Well, I can take and counterattack the bishop on f4. So winning another piece. And opponent resigns. So nice game. It did get a little bit messy out of the opening. But hopefully this goes to show at least one interesting option for black against the Jobava London. Yeah, as far as I know, white should play, I think queen d2 is one of the main moves. Like usually white should go for castling queenside and then g4 and expand on the king side. Bishop e2 is a bit counterproductive. And then, yeah, here, Engine's top move is pawn takes pawn. I was a little bit concerned about this. But then just knight b4, interesting. The a6 was also fine. And this worked out very nicely. Okay. That brings me to 1520. Let's do another. Black again. Should I go for another Stafford Gambit? I had so much fun with the Stafford in the previous episode. Discovered a new opening trap. So going for it again. White doesn't have to take. There are other moves. Knight f3 is a popular way to decline. But white does take. And bishop c4. So I could take the pawn right away. But I want to go for more of the tricky lines. And yeah, bishop c5 allows white to maybe make a mistake. I think d3 is a mistake because knight g4. And it's a pattern you see so often in the Stafford with f2 as a target. If castle, I'll have queen h4 hitting h2 and f2. d4 I don't think helps white that much. I can just take another benefit of Stafford Gambit is a d file is open, so queen helps support d4. F2 is still attacked. And now if bishop e3, I can take... I was going to say take, and then b2 would be hanging. We see queen f3, so that does threaten checkmate in 1. Now, I am in some new territory, so I have to think on my own rather than relying on memory. If I take on f2 with the bishop, I might actually run into some trouble, like king e2, like still threatening this and this. So I'm a bit more inclined to play knight e5 here to defend and attack the queen and bishop. I could also castle too. Yeah, what to do? I like knight e5. It keeps initiative. The knight is really nice here, doing so many jobs. And actually, there's some fun lines to calculate, like queen e2, bishop g4, f3, and then queen h4. I guess there's g3, but then I take, and then the rook hangs in the end. Queen b3, interesting. So this is still defended. Queen h4 looks nice here. I don't think there's any reason to take the bishop. I'll go for queen h4. Like castles. And now it's really tempting to play knight g4, but that might backfire. Like knight g4, bishop takes. The queen's ready to swing over. This move is tempting. Bishop to g4. Just creating ideas of maybe sacking on f3. There's also b5. I think b5 maybe first. Force the bishop back and then bishop g4. I'm going to take a moment here. Bishop g4. There's some really cool lines where, like, let's say bishop e3, I can play knight f3, take, and I think it's force mate. Okay, I'm going to go for this first. I'm also threatening this, and then there's no bishop e2. So white plays bishop e3 very quickly. And now, yeah, this is kind of what I was alluding to. Knight f3. If king h1, it's mate. So white has to take. I take back. There is this. Oh, does it not work? I think it works. Wait. Okay, so knight f3, take. I'll play king f8. And then I'm threatening mate in 2, but there's queen e6. But if queen e6, I can take, and then check, and then king f2, and then check, and then king e1, and then checkmate. So knight f3, take, king f1, queen e6, bishop takes e3. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's do it. Another fun-looking Stafford attack. This one's a little bit risky, but hopefully I'm not missing anything. Yeah, I think it's important to play king f8. Because, for example, king d8 walks into... No, it doesn't walk into bishop g5, because then I take. But king d8 feels a bit less safe with the d file open. Yeah, let's play king f8. And there's these checks, but they don't do much because then I take. Oh, one thing I didn't consider is bishop e6. I only calculate queen e6, but this is different. Because now, if I take, the queen takes, and I don't have a check on the g-file. Wait, but I have this. Does this work? No, but then bishop c5. Oh dear. Wait, this is actually really complex. Bishop here. Check. But then I move here? I'm threatening mate on h2. Then check. What is happening? Bishop e5. Check here. Check here. Rook d1, I take it. Queen e6. I think the king just runs over. I think it's okay. Playing with fire here. But the fact that I'm threatening mate, it really limits white's options. I should have probably calculated this before going into it. Bishop e5, here, check, here. Queen d3. King c8, bishop e6, king b8. And then mate is coming. I don't think it's force mate though, because white's going to probably figure out that they have to sack the rook for this check. Oh, is there this move? Okay, they sack the rook. I have to take it, otherwise, I mean, this is coming next. Yeah, white's playing a good game to defend. Queen d3, I have to play this. But we're seeing the risky nature of the Stafford. Sometimes the opponent will get counter initiative. But I'll be out material. My king should be decently safe. Yeah, queen takes h2. And if I want to... Oh, I could trade queens and then win b2. I could also take on e4. Yeah, this is just crushing. How do I want to do it? If I take, there's bishop e3. Okay, let's just... let's be clean. I'll take the queen. Yeah, it took me a moment to actually realize b2 is hanging. My opponent resigns. Yeah, that was kind of a wild sequence. I'm very curious to analyze if I was actually ever in trouble. Of course, the engine says I'm in trouble after playing the starting move of the Stafford Gambit. And the best move is to take the pawn, but yeah, bishop c5 is more fun, as we saw. Yeah, white can play queen f3 here, and then this is actually playable for white. A d4, and then black's in control. Okay, so the engine does not like this knight f3 move. It says I should have taken... Ah, the queen's tied down to the bishop, so the pawn would have to take. And then castle, and then black's doing well. But I went for it, knight f3. So why is this actually good for white? King f8. Bishop e6 is the best move. Yeah, I had originally calculated queen e6 defending, but then I would take... And this is a mating sequence. I saw take, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then mate on e2. But bishop e6 is definitely better for white. Oh! White actually has a very simple defensive move that we both overlooked. White can play h3 here. And it's +4 in White's favor. Like Black actually doesn't have enough to crack the position. Wow. I did not see h3, but neither did my opponent. Like this looked attractive, but that's so important. My bishop covers d1. And then here, White has a crazy engine move to not be worse. Bishop e7. And then if king takes e7, White can win my bishop. And then White's not getting mated, like queen g4, queen g3. Apparently I should play king f8 here. Take. And this is close to equal somehow. Wow. Also, if queen takes, then the queen's no longer hitting h2 and White can take and defend. But bishop e7 was missed. Rook d1 was played, and then, yeah, Black is winning. Okay, not the cleanest Stafford Gambit, but a fun game nonetheless. I think I'll end it there. Rated 20. So not the cleanest So not the cleanest Stafford Gambit, but a fun game nonetheless. I think I'll end it there. Rated 1528. Hope you guys enjoyed the games today. If you have questions, leave them below. If you like the content, do subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.